Good morning, my gardening friends. It's Vicki again. Just back over at my terrace garden. Do some more weeding today. This is not the area that I weeded. I weeded this area last time. Just showing you what's going on here. But I'll show you where I weeded in just a second. I should cut this back more right here. That yarrow is turning black and not looking the healthiest, but there is new growth coming out of the base here, so I should just cut back to that. I'll do that in a minute. But anyway, wanted to show you the terrace garden. We're supposed to get up to 100 today, or higher than that with the heat index, but yeah, the real temperature is going to be like 100. It was also up to 100 yesterday, but I was at work. I am off today. That is too hot for gardening, so I came over at about 7:30 in the morning, and it's probably about 9:30 or maybe even 10. I haven't looked at the time, and it's starting to get unbearably muggy and hot, so I am calling it for the day. But the area of weeding that I just did is probably about not quite a half, maybe a third of the second level of my terrace, and I'm gonna get up there to show you better so we can actually kind of see what was buried underneath all the grass. I've got a clump of Veronica that's right here. This is a little grouping of salvias. I believe they're, I don't remember the exact name, but it was like a variety that's supposed to stay somewhat short. So I kind of put them at the front here. This is my one and only catmint plant. I think it's Walker's Low. I don't remember. I just bought it because it was on discount and I don't have any catmint yet. This right here is, I am fairly certain, some sort of native, my nails are all dirty. I think it's a butterfly weed. Not butterfly weed. Yeah, is that what they're called? Milkweed? Anyway, it's some sort of native that I planted there, and it didn't do anything really this year, but it was completely hidden in all the grass. So at least I can see that it has survived, and next year hopefully we'll get some flowers or something. So all of this area where you can see where I've pulled the grass, I'm going to try to go in the spring and fill in all of these areas so that next year the grass doesn't have the opportunity to come back. And that's kind of what I've been doing with this terrace all along. I mean, I've been battling the grass and the weeds and just constantly adding more plants. And as I add more plants, I'm digging out that grass root and, you know, giving it less space to come back and all of that. So this plant right here, I forget the name of it. It's another cool native. It gets tall purple flowers, really good for pollinators. And the one I'm referring to is this one right here. Hyssop, maybe? If I remember, I'll put the name before I post the video. This blue flowered plant that's really pretty right here is chicory, and I actually got that from my back alley. It was just growing, you know, wild, and I moved it up here because I thought it was super pretty. I wasn't sure if it was going to survive because it seemed like it died completely after I transplanted it. But here it is, looking beautiful, and I really love how it looks with the Russian sage. On my last video, I was telling you guys I was kind of disappointed with my Russian sage because it's not very showy, and this is like the third year. Although every year I add a little bit more, so you know, not every plant in there is on the third year status, but I want a big, bold, beautiful stand of Russian sage, and it's just not there yet. There's a broken one at the top. Behind that clump of chicory, behind this blue flowered plant that is chicory, there's just a little green clump, if you can see that. It's red clover, which actually has like pink flowers, but that's what it's called, I think, is red clover, and it's done flowering. And then right to, I can't really reach it, right here is my Little Joe or Baby Joe, whatever it's called, Joe Pye weed. This is only its first year. It did have a couple flowers. I cut off one of them because they were completely done, and the other one is just kind of dead in the back there. But anyway, next year that should get quite a bit bigger and be really pretty. This kind of blue-green plant right here is Baptisia, and that they grow pretty quickly. So next year that should be a decent sized plant, but this year you couldn't really tell because it was, again, in all the grass. These various grass-looking plants here are orange daylilies, or ditch lilies as people call them. You can see I didn't get to all the grass back there along the wall. I am still working my way down, but it's just going to be getting too hot and muggy. It already is, and I've got my dog with me, and she will not be happy if I don't get her some water soon. But I wanted to show you the progress that I made. Let me get back down here again. See if we can get some pretty views while we're here. This is some of my red yarrow, looking really pretty. And some of the pink. This is my favorite yarrow. I think it's called New Vintage Pink. This is the Artemisia. When I planted this originally last year, it was like maybe this big. Maybe this one little mound here is how big it was. And as you can see, it has spread out, spilling over my wall and spreading. I guess it's spreading, creeping along. Yeah, it's planting itself in there. I really like that. I like that it's spreading over the wall. It's my potato plant, of course. Some geranium in here. And this plant, I mean, I feel like it hasn't been doing the absolute best, but I just haven't been able to do any supplemental watering this year. It's surviving, it's growing. I'm just going to be happy with that. And hopefully next year we'll get a really great show and some improvement in, you know, how much that grows, and hopefully we get some flowers, because I still have not seen that geranium in flower. Next year will be its third season. My oregano plant. Let's see if we can zoom in on some bees. More bees and flies. Like, what even is that? There's so many things on this. There's like a black wasp thing with bluish coloring on it, and I mean, they don't seem aggressive or anything. It's just some kind of different black wasp. But here's my lamb's ear. The 4 o'clocks are already closed up this morning. It's too warm for them, so they are not open. Here's my other side of 4 o'clocks, and that's basically where they end over here. So let's go back this way one more time. I'm really trying to get better about moving slowly, letting people see what I'm trying to show them, because when I watch other people's videos, I always just love the ones where they really go slowly and you can zoom in and look at the flowers. You know, the sad thing about potato vines is that they have, oh, is that my wave petunia? That's actually wave petunia growing up through the potato vine. But the potato vines do get flowers, but they're just kind of like hidden. And so you don't get to see them very much because there's so much vine. Yeah, here's some more of my petunias peeking out on the sides here and mixing in. Look at that, the two colors together. That's pretty. So anyway, I'm trying to get better about really going slow, zooming in. Like, if you guys wanted to see what this oregano actually looks like, it gets these tiny little white flowers. And I don't know what the specific scientific name is for this oregano. I bought it at, you know, a grocery store or Lowe's or Ace Hardware. I'm not sure. I bought it somewhere and it just said garden oregano. And I planted, I think, 4 or 5 little plants last year. Last year it stayed about 6 to 8 inches tall, and it kind of looks like a ground cover. I thought it was pretty. I liked the foliage. So, and then I noticed that over winter it didn't really die off. It just kind of hung on there. And so I didn't cut it back. And then this year it shot up. First it was tall and spiky, and then it leaned forward like that. And I know some people don't like that, but I think the arching is beautiful coming over my wall like this. And so if you want to try to grow this yourself, I mean, I've heard people say their oregano has pink or purple flowers. So I don't know what types of oregano they're growing versus what type I'm growing. All I know is that the label said garden oregano. I am going to buy more oregano again in the future, as I've mentioned before. And, you know, if I get different colored flowers, okay, great. But hopefully they have the same kind of growing habit and attraction for pollinators as that one does, because that's just amazing. These black-eyed Susans, I am just falling in love with them. I wasn't even planning to keep them here after this year. I was thinking about moving them because I just felt like the yellow didn't really go with anything else. But I love the foliage. I love how big and green it is. And actually, I started falling in love with yellow this year. I had some yellow coneflowers up here on my second terrace that were like a native. And when I saw those, they bloomed earlier in summer, I fell in love with the look of it. And I decided I do want yellow in this garden. Yellow, purple, pinks and reds, oranges. Everybody is welcome. I just love all the colors. The only color I'm still kind of hesitant about, to be honest with you, is red. And I do have some red in the yarrow there, but it's not like a really in-your-face red. And I feel like that's a little bit more my style. So I was talking last time about this foxtrot pennisetum grass. I have one in the corner over here, and then I have another one on that end. And they're beautiful. I really like them. Gosh, I might change my mind again. But right now what I'm thinking is this one right in front of me, which is called ham elm. I think that I like the size of the ham elm better. I think that's as big as that one will get. And if I put one of those over there in each corner instead, I just think that in balance with all the other plants that it would look better. And so I think I'm going to make that change next year. But don't be surprised if I change my mind. My log with my hens and chicks in here is kind of getting a little bit buried, but I don't really mind. All of the other plants are just, you know, they're growing big and being successful. So that's why it's a little hidden at the moment. These sedums, you know, obviously some of them are done flowering, and I don't really know how to cut back sedums. Oh, let me pause. I'm sorry, my dog's... All right, everybody. Well, I don't remember where we left off. I talked to my neighbor for a good 20 minutes or so. 2 of them, actually. Every time I come over now, you know, people always want to say hi because I'm not here all that often. Aren't those pretty? These are the drift, what are they called? Petunias. Here's another one of my, same as I had on the other side, this Artemisia mound. Same, it was just like maybe a 6-inch mound last year when I planted it. And now it's probably a good 2 feet or more wide, and it's kind of like creeping through some other stuff, or other stuff is creeping through it. I don't know how you would describe that, but it's looking pretty. This is my sage. start calling it a sage bush, but it's actually like 3 different kinds of, or 3 different plants, not different kinds. So I only had today off, and then I work another 3 days. I work 12-hour days, so I will not have another opportunity to finish weeding this other side of the terrace until this coming weekend. So that's my plan this coming weekend, is to come back here and finish weeding out this second terrace up here that looks so bad. I'm gonna tear down all of that Cosmo and pull out as much of this grass as I can, expose the plants that are in there that I want to be there, and then I'm gonna do a good video of that second terrace that I can study over the winter when I'm bored and stuck inside, and plan like what am I going to get more of, where am I going to plant it, stuff like that. I'm also thinking about ordering some bulbs for fall, and so having those plants out of there is helpful so that I can see where I need to plant bulbs. I don't like it when they grow up in and through, you know, my existing plants. So can kind of see the Russian sage over the Monarda here. I cut back this Monarda again today just so I could see the Russian sage better, because it is back there. It's just, it was hiding behind that, and this grass too is also a little too tall, so that's causing it to be hidden. My dahlias, this very dark foliaged pink purple dahlia, I discussed last time how I was going to be moving these to the front of the border, which I am. I'm hoping when I dig up those tubers, like if you've grown dahlias before, they typically produce a lot more tubers during the year. So like I should have next year, I'd say probably twice as many as I have this year, if I'm able to pull up all of those tubers and store them successfully over winter. Then I should be able to double the size of that patch. And like I was saying before, I want to bring it forward here, and if there's enough, I'll probably put some on the other end too, because over here, well, I have some holes in here, but I'm planning on putting more sedums and keeping it kind of like sedum and deserty rock plant type of stuff in this area. But I have some holes like in here, and then if I do end up moving this, whatever this ground cover is, I'll have a big hole here that I need to cover. Look, there's a pretty butterfly. Oh, flying away. All right, well, I'm not gonna get him on camera apparently. That salvia is peeking out. I have a lot of salvia that's hidden in this grass, like up in this area. There's a lot more. I'm hoping that it survived the summer, because I planted it there just this early summer or late spring, and then all the grass grew up around it, so I don't even really know if it's been successful because I haven't been able to see it. I see some dahlias up there at the very top peeking out. So on our next video, after I weed that second level, we should be able to see them much better. My pincushion flower. And this is my other black-eyed Susans. This one I did not deadhead. I did deadhead the one on the other side as I was weeding down there, but I didn't really get to this side of the garden bed as much, so. Oh, I think I remember what I was talking about before I paused. I want to cut this back, but I don't know if I just like cut off the entire stem. That's probably how you do it. You probably just cut off this whole thing and just leave the green growth underneath. But in the past, I've just left it, and that's been fine too. It's just not as pretty once they're done flowering. I really like this euphorbia. I always want to say euonymus, but I think it's euphorbia. But I don't like it's like side by side, two little bushes. I would like to get more of them, and I would like them to be angled somehow and create like a bigger swath of those, of that color, because I really like that color. Another thought I had is that so this is the dark sweet potato vine. There's also like a lime green, which is very similar to this color sweet potato vine. And seeing how good this color looks with like my regular green and my purple, dark purple sweet potato vine, I just think that adding some of that limey green sweet potato vine coming over the side might also be an interesting idea for next year. So that's something that I'm considering. All right. Not that you guys care, but I filled up another trash can of weeds today. That's how much weeding I did. I need to get a broom and come sweep my stairs. It's looking pretty terrible, but then again, my house is basically like a condemned house right now. As you can see, the lawn is very overgrown. Planning to bring the lawnmower this weekend and mow the grass again. Hopefully I only have to do that a couple more times before the season is over, because bringing it back and forth between the two houses and mowing the grass at the other house too, not really very fun. Thought we'd come around here and see the second terrace that I weeded from above. So I can really get a better idea of where I have spaces and where I want to add more plants in for next year. All of this needs to get cut back. I've got some tomatoes growing in behind here. I thought it would be a fun idea to grow tomatoes there this year since I wasn't growing roses there. And then this happened with the tree, and now I've just not been here to maintain any of this stuff. So this part of the yard is, as you can see, completely overgrown. But there's little pockets of beauty. Here's a lavender plant. Looking really pretty. I planted one of these in between each of these rose bushes. Hopefully this weekend I'll be able to come over, and when I get the lawn cut and get all of this area de-weeded, and maybe I'll be able to get a video of this area actually looking better. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be moving this myself or waiting for the construction people to come and start doing this. This is part of my fence that was just torn down after the tree fell, and they just threw it over here. Literally, I pulled some of these off of my roses. That's how much of a lack of regard they had for my plants. Here is another pretty lavender. So the lavender did really well, even though I was, it completely got ignored, but that's probably the best thing for lavender. It wants dryness and to be left alone. Let's look at this rose. Pretty. I love the fragrance of this rose so much. When I smelled it, I was like, I must own this. Let me show you the tag again, or at least if I can find it. This one is called Raspberry Cupcake. Look at all those tomatoes. I got to get down in there and harvest what's harvestable, cut back a bunch of these branches, and my roses are totally overgrown. In like the next month and a half, I'm going to be coming over here and cutting back all my roses down to probably about 2.5 feet, something like that, and then covering them up for the year. There's some dahlias. I actually did get some really beautiful flowers, but they had fallen over, and then you can see my little, whatever you call this stuff. I tied them up to the side of the porch because I didn't have anything else. But let's get a couple that are actually looking good here. Aren't those beautiful? YouTube, please make that my starting shot instead of piles of lumber or weeds, as you frequently do. That is just beautiful. My goodness. And I think I just broke it. Yep, I just broke off that stem. All right, well, this one's coming with me to the other house. Come on, Secret. I let go of her leash while I was grabbing this flower, and she's already wandering off. All right, well, I think that is it. It's time to go back to the other house. I actually need to cut the lawn over there too, but I don't think that's happening since it's going to be 100 today. So it's going to have to wait a few more days. I'm off this weekend, and it is cooling down as of like, I don't know, next couple of days it's going to drop. Sorry, waiting for the plane to pass. In the next couple of days it's going to drop down from like 100-degree highs to like 80, something like that. So, you know what, let me grab some stuff while we're walking that way. My blueberry shrubs do not seem to be surviving. That's sad. So maybe I did not put them in a place that gets enough sun. Like, even though after, I don't know, about midday the sun does come up right over here, but then it's like blocked again by this tree. I don't know, it just isn't sunny enough. So I'll have to try again in a different spot if I want blueberries. By the time I have them successfully growing, the daughter that I'm growing them for is probably going to be graduated. We'll see. All right, walking this way. See if we see anything pretty as we are leaving. This hydrangea bush is one of two, I think, that were not struck by the tree, and it is not looking too bad. Got some green blooms and some ones that are still pretty pink. All of these hydrangeas down here are just recovering after the tree falling on them. Stuff in the back not looking bad, although I'm starting to get a lot of weeds growing up in here and grass, another area that I need to come and attend to. If I had been living here and if I had the time, I would get another shipment of the chip drop so that I could remulch this whole area, because that's what I did last fall. I got a free ship drop and I mulched all of this. It used to just be grass. Well, it needs to be done again, but pretty soon this driveway is going to be needed for the construction people that are going to be rebuilding our house. And so I definitely cannot bring in a chip drop, and put it there like I did last year. And I can't put it down in the street. I cannot haul all that up here, up the stairs and stuff. That's not happening. So this is going to have to wait until next year when I'm back in the home for me to put more mulch down. Look at this. Pretty sure that's deer poop. And it's in multiple areas. So when I tell you that deer come through here and eat my plants, I am not kidding. But a lot of the stuff I have up here they don't seem to be too interested in. We've got some of our verbascum starting to bloom. Most people consider this to be a weed. This is not like the cultivar that's on the market that's, you know, smaller and has pink blooms and stuff like that. I mean, this is like the wild type that's just yellow and it gets really tall and big. Personally, I love that. I love that it's big. I don't even mind that it's yellow, even though, like I said before, I used to be afraid of yellow in my garden. I have fallen in love with it. And so I guess bring it on is my new philosophy. Let's see, we are now in the end of August. Today's, I believe, August 26th. And there is not any blooms on this Rose of Sharon, nor on the other one down there. And I see multiple seedlings all around it. Back there, there's several on the ground if you see in between that arborvitae and the Rose of Sharon and the wall. And so to me, this is a plant that is not flowering enough. You know what? Maybe that's what the deer are eating, because I see some broken off stems in here. I bet you that's exactly what's happening. The deer are coming through and eating it. Interesting. So maybe it's not the Rosa Sharon's fault. But anyway, what I was going to say is I don't think that the Rosa Sharon's working out for this garden. I'm considering, once we have the house rebuilt and we have our fence put back up, our fence will be blocking off that side like it used to, and then it runs along the other side and basically creates like a side yard for us over there. Once that area is back blocked off again, then things that fall prey to the deer, I will, if I really want them, I will be planting them in that area. But for now, yeah, I'm still learning what they're eating and stuff, so. But anyway, point is, for now I have nowhere to put those plants that are going to be protected by or from the deer. So I think that is it. One more thing I want to get a close-up on before we go. I see that my obedient plant is looking pretty. I don't know if it was the last video that I was talking about this plant and I wasn't sure what the name of it was, but I found out that it's obedient plant and that it spreads pretty well, and it's a native, and so I'm excited about that. I would like this to spread in this garden. And then also my cosmos, even though they have tipped over, look at how lovely they are. They just happen to tip over into the pathway a little bit, but once they tip, then they start growing upright, so it just makes them look shorter. Like they would have been taller if they hadn't tipped over, but this still looks really pretty, so I'm liking that. I still love my little pathway. I have a lot of small gravel, and I have more of these flagstones, so on the other side of the house we have more flagstones that we need to move over here and make this pathway probably a little bit wider. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the small gravel that I have and pour it in on top of and amongst all of these flagstones. And then I don't know if that will just work its way into the ground eventually, but it'll just kind of give this little pathway a little more character and definition from the rest of the plants and stuff. And I just think that's going to look lovely. So that's something else that I'll be working on in the future. All right, guys, I'm going to cut this short, get this video uploaded, and we will talk to you next time.